Okay, we are officially live, Nikki.
We are. Hi,
Hel-
Natalie.
Hey. I'm gonna just wait 1 second to make sure that it is flowing through okay on YouTube, and then we will get started in our conversation.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. We're officially streaming through. So we're there. Woo, Nikki. Happy
Happy
Friday.
Friday, my love. How are you feeling?
Uh, for some reason, my heart just started beating a little fast. I don't know
Oh,
why. Maybe
okay.
it's like, the red button thing they talk about when you hit record. I think it's also indicative of this has been a week of kicking off the week, not feeling well and needing to slow down to just tend to what my body needed. And then midweek asking so much of me on all fronts. And I guess just now I'm like, it's like almost my heart was racing fast, almost to keep pace with what the week has been. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, slow down, relax into this moment with you, Nikki, this beautiful Friday Tipa Talk.
Yes. Oh,
And how are you
honored to
arriving
be
today,
here.
friend? Yes.
Whew. I am arriving grounded and present,
Ooh.
but not without some work to get there. I don't know. We're both in the DMV and it's a dreary overcast, like the winter is settling in. And I don't know if that's affected my mood or just kind of hormonal balance, but I've been in a bit of a slowness and like
Yeah.
blahness. And I think, coming into the space, which I was so excited for, I was like, all right, well, what do I need to do to connect, deepen? And so part of my grounding practice has been going for walks in
Mhm.
nature. And so I did that this morning, doing some meditation, listened to a podcast that I got some inspiration from. And so I'm like feeling good right now.
Ooh, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that. So you're giving it off. So I love it. Oh, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing about your grounding practice and how you eased into like sort of preparing for how you wanted to show up for our chat today. So
Yes.
first of all, so grateful that you said yes. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in a moment, but I first just want to thank you, Nikki, because today you get to be the Tipa Talk that marks the 1 month anniversary since we released the podcast out to the age of
Woo!
the world.
Yay! I'm so happy for you. Congratulations
Woo!
on this milestone.
Thank you. And I didn't realize it when we booked it, but I was like, how perfect. And that's why I know we had some back and forth about whether it felt right to do it today. And we both, we're in our practice of feeling into whether it felt right. And when I, tried on like, how do I want, like, what would I want to be doing and how would I want to be celebrating this 1 month
Mhm.
milestone? I'm like being with Nikki in this time to talk, bringing more publicly the conversations that we have all the time privately on
Yes.
voice note in person, because we do our quarterly in person retreats
Yes.
together. This felt like the perfect way. So thank you for also just saying yes and allowing this to also to support me in this being a wonderful way to celebrate this 1 month anniversary. And I hope that you also that this also is a time that you enjoy as well.
Yes, my pleasure. I'm so glad to be here with you.
So please, I want to hand over to you just to
Okay.
allow you to introduce yourself. And I guess quick disclaimer, I'm not, you get to introduce yourself with whatever self descriptors or identities feel most alive for you. And we
Yeah.
don't need the polished LinkedIn bio over here.
Mhm.
If that's what you're feeling today, great. But we're in the practice of uh of showing up authentically. So just wanted to give that disclaimer.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's see. I'm feeling the identities and who I am.
Mm.
So I I am Nikki. The name that I chose in the spelling that I chose. Birth name is Nicole, but Nikki is just
Mm.
who I am and who I go by. I am a proud Black woman. I am a mom. I am a friend. I am a connector and a community builder. I'm someone who loves nature and is an aspiring yogi, and salsera, and those things light me up. And just someone who like believes deeply in the power of humanity and like the shared connectedness that we have in these exchanges, which is why I'm so grateful to be in community with you. So those are some of the identities on the professional side. I am a coach and a facilitator, and I'm honored that this has come into my professional path, somewhat accidentally, somewhat serendipitously, but I've had the honor of coaching incredible humans on their journey for the last couple of years, and to be able to hold space for them to kind of examine, reckon with, stretch in and out of their comfort zones with tipas, right? And it's been a real privilege to be able to do that professionally.
Oh, Nikki, that was awesome. I loved hearing the range of identities, that are speaking to you right now. And I learned something about you I didn't know. I love that Nikki is your chosen name and spelling, and
Yes.
and the one that you feel like you really connect with. But love it. All of the salsera, I know you've been working on that, and carving out space and time, and the lover of nature. So so beautiful. Honoring all of facets of who you are, all those identities that are speaking to you. And yes, you also are a coach. So how do we know each other, Nikki?
Yes. All right. Well, we have grad school, business school to thank for our paths crossing. We were a year apart. And I always, from
Go
afar, I was like,
BBSA.
yes, go BBSA for sure. Bringing folks together.
Black Business Student Association. Yes,
yes.
we were a small but mighty crew.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know, Natalie, you always had this spirit and this essence and light, as I'm now coming to know even more fully, but we didn't know each other that well and that deeply in business school. I think it was always just a mutual respect and admiration. And then fast forward, I think, until you were slightly ahead of me on your coaching journey. And I remember I was walking and talking, as we do now, walk and talks regularly. And you were just sharing a little bit more about your path. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so excited to continue to deepen my friendship with this incredible person. And then now I moved back from LA to Maryland a couple of, I guess, a year ago. And now it's like, I am so grateful that you are part of my community locally. And so we get to, talk all things life, work, friendships, relationships, all of the things. And so this has been a huge blessing of having our friendship flourish, being back in the DMV. So
Amen to that. Amen to
yeah.
that. Yeah, it's interesting when you were talking about, you talked about you feeling, I guess, sort of drawn to my energy. I always felt, I
Yes.
felt the same way with you. And so, and it's interesting because at business school, you were a year ahead of me. So you were like the older, wiser, student who like knew the ropes, and we're like, what class do we do here? And how do we navigate this? And then when we reached back out, it was sort of, you were reaching out to me and I was a little further along on my journey of stepping into entrepreneurship and the coaching business. So it's just this beautiful dance of how we, in our different seasons of our lives, like, sometimes we have more knowledge to share. Like we're learning and teaching and mentoring and supporting each other in a variety of ways. Because I remember, I think, because you were a leadership fellow at Stanford, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I
remember. Yeah.
Exactly. So both of us got our foundation. Shout out to Carol and the whole
Hey,
leadership
Carol,
fellows crew.
Ed, yes, Collins.
Y'all are responsible for all of this.
Yes.
Seriously, this planted the seeds. But I remember, and you were the year ahead, and it's so interesting that we've both. I think both of us had paths. I mean, you were in social impact and education and went on to do a lot of work post MBA. And then I had, different paths that I went down as well. I think when we both did leadership fellows, we weren't thinking that we were actually planting the seeds for what would become a future sort of profession, career, livelihood, passion.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm missing. I know for
No,
me that
no idea.
I didn't think it was possible.
No, I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah,
Like, this is
exactly.
cool. I love it, but
Right.
go do the career that you should do or that you came to business school.
Ooh, yeah, I was talking with Simone
You know.
last week. We had lots about the shoulds.
Yep.
She liked to call them the shitty shoulds. Kids, cover your ears. I want my kids to be able to listen to this, but yes.
After I know, I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I'll have
yeah.
to watch my mouth.
But that's why so I remember when you called me and I was just so excited that you were starting, it's like what that you were considering it. And of course, not everybody needs to go down this path, but I love that moment when we are releasing ourselves from the shoulds and starting to pay more attention to like that which feels really good and like that we're feeling
Yeah.
called to do, and like shedding any like shame or judgment around the possible path and really expanding what is possible for ourselves. So I get so excited, like when someone from a lot of folks like have kind of gone through our program and eventually are realizing I love to help like hold transformational space, unlock human potential, help people like step into and call forth a version of themselves that they feel really proud of in all areas of their
Yeah.
life. And so it just feels so exciting when I get so excited when folks are reaching out at this point. Now that I'm further ahead, I'm like, oh, you're thinking about this? How can I
Yes.
support you?
Yes.
So now I have the benefit of you being here in the DMV, and we've turned it into a support group for each other.
We have. It fills my soul. So great. Yes.
So, Nikki, I feel like there's so much that we could explore today. I typically kick off with asking folks, what is resonating with you about this wisdom of Tipa? And I don't usually do this, but I sort of want to just acknowledge that I did read this week your beautiful newsletter. Shout out for the reimagined path. I'm linking to your LinkedIn page. I mean, it's beautiful, Nikki, like what you have been writing. So if you want to sign up for Nikki's newsletter, I'm going to make the plug for you.
Thank you.
And it is called a reimagined path. And I remember when you started it, I think it was earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. Like we've always been so aligned in terms of how we're viewing the journey. And I'm like, oh my God, that could have been the name for my newsletter. I was like, I love it so much, but I'm loving seeing you give voice to your journey and your perspective and just this gorgeously, like I see you holding yourself with such in the practice of holding yourself with deep sort of love and reverence and self-acceptance and curiosity as you're reimagining your path, but also so equipped to help people to support them in their own journey of reimagining their path. So I love it. So this week, your newsletter, Nikki, hold on. It was titled, is it The Journey Back to Self-Trust? Is that what the title was?
Yes.
And I'm just, y'all, it's so good. It was so good. Well, and also you did give me a shout out in there. So I thank you for that. I was
just waiting. I was like, I just got to plug Natalie because you're doing this. Yes.
No, but girl, it's so real. And I mean, I'm drawn, obviously, if anyone can tell, like I am drawn to people who are willing to shed light on if they feel comfortable and safe. No one is required to, but if it feels aligned for you, to give voice to like letting people into the tricky, sticky, not so clear, confusing parts of our journey. Because the truth is that we all go through it, and there's nothing that irks me more than people acting like things are effortless and easy when they're not. And so when you in your newsletter, you talked, I mean, it's beautiful. So I actually thought that would just be such juicy, perfect stuff for us to dig into, especially if it's alive for you. You gave so many rich examples. And I know for me, in episode, I think it's 2, early on, my big earthquake was this rupture of self-trust. Like that is what was like, I can't even trust myself anymore to know what I want, to figure out what's right for me. And like the foundation of self-trust has been everything, and rebuilding it and figuring out how to be in the practice of it. And I think what for me, I know it's like, it's not it's an ongoing practice. Like there's always going to be like, it feels stronger for me, but there's always, even this week, trusting myself. I called an intermission for the podcast, like trusting that. So I'll just pause there. You spoke to me. Your words were food to my soul. And if you're willing, and then you mentioned Tipa. Everything you talked about, like, is also the practice of Tipa. Like everything you said in there. So I'm going to stop giving words to your words. I just had to share how excited I was about it. And if you're willing, would love to toss it over to you and maybe just like, what is this concept of self-trust that you were exploring and pondering in this season of your life looking like?
Ooh.
Sorry, that was a lot. So yeah,
thank you. I appreciate you sharing that resonated. That means, it's a courageous act to just put words into the world. And so the fact that it hit, thank you for sharing. Yeah, self-trust. Let's see. Gosh, what it is like this. It is so present for me, but it also feels somewhat hard to articulate and what that means in practice. And I think for me, it's coming back to the micro moments of tuning into what I need. Like one, actually, I have a body and I have needs was like step, I would go through the world historically and just be like, oh, I'm good. Oh yeah, I'm fine. I got this. I can do this. I can do that. I can do that. I can help you. And I can, and like, there was nothing in my vernacular that said that I had a right to understand my needs. And, so that's been a journey, to step into that, to, gosh, dare I say, slow down enough to listen and to pause and to be aware of. And then from that place, making small choices that honor that need and honor that voice and honor what's coming up for me, even if it feels, and the effort to disconnect from the other voices in my head, all the shoulds and the influences and the understanding the context in which, like, how I got to where I am. Because I think for me, that's helped me understand, like, how I got pulled into not tending to my needs, like the societal cultural expectations that's kind of pulled me away from it. And so for me, yeah, that self-trust is just the attunement, and then taking that small step, as in the Tipa wisdom, in that direction. So that was high level. I'm happy to share like more specifics about what that's looking like, but yeah.
So just what I feel is an incredible amount of appreciation and a desire to like celebrate the part of you that decided that you were gonna start, like, just to at some point. Like, actually, was there a moment where you, like, what led you to start to desire a new way of operating? Right? Like, was it a moment? Was, because you said something in your newsletter, like the opposite of thinking about the opposite of self-trust being self-abandonment, and assuming it sounds like maybe you were in a practice of more on the self-abandonment side of the spectrum. What was there a moment or an experience that made you be like, oh, I don't want to be on that train no more, the self-abandonment train?
Yeah. I'm listening to your This Is Not My Dream episode kind of brought me back to a lot. And like so much of what you shared resonated. And for me, okay, there was a moment in the pandemic. I have a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm leading a team for the first time, and it's in education. And so it's like one of the systems that, all systems were like drastically impacted, but being virtual and like wanting so deeply to succeed in this leadership role that I had asked for and been working for. I'd always wanted to manage a team, and I'd always wanted to have this opportunity. I was doing work that I felt like it was aligned, mission-driven work. And I was sitting on the couch with my husband at the time, and he says to me, Nick, you're damaged goods. And I was like, it caught me off guard. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he said, it's like,
wow, you got curious in that moment? Very good job.
I don't know.
Wow.
This might be some revisionist history.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how I
What
responded.
do you mean? I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
But
It was probably more like that. And this is my like higher best self reflecting on how
we'll
I
take
could
it.
have responded.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? He's like, yeah, like jumbled on the inside, like outside you know, kind of representing, you know, put together, but on the inside it's all jumbled. And I was like, oh, good Lord. So it was really hard to receive that in the moment. And I think he said it with love, even though it was hard to receive. But that was like my moment where I was like, whoa, who am I? And where did Nikki go? Because in this effort to do all of the things, I lost myself in the process. And so that was a real reckoning moment for me where I was like, something's got to give. And so from that point, then I put in my notice. I can't remember how fast, but I think I put in a plan. I was working with a coach at the time and I put in a plan in place to figure out probably maybe like 6 months after that is when I gave notice. I had no idea what I was going to do next, but I was like, not this anymore. I got to take a breather. I've got to take a beat and I'll figure it out. So that was the professional. And then the other real big thing that made me realize this in even deeper ways was the unraveling of my marriage. And that moment when I realized like I wasn't sure who I was like individually, but also in that relationship and how I'd gotten to the point where the disconnection both from self and from that, from my partner at the time, like how did I get there? And that was another big aha moment of like, okay, I've got to find my way back home to me and nourish my soul. And so yeah, burnout and divorce have been some real big, like, whew, open your eyes. Yeah.
And those two happened in what sort of time frame? Like, were they pretty close to each other?
Yeah, they were close. I didn't know. I think probably within 6 months of each other. Wow. Within 6 months of each other, where I'd stepped out to like be on my own, and then 6 months later, it's just like the beginning of the unraveling, and and so that was really hard. Like I could, yeah. I just, there's like, you'd ask like, Nikki, what do you like to do for fun? I didn't have an answer. I didn't know what I enjoyed. Like I just had lost my spark in service of like being all the things that I wanted. And that was a tricky thing, Nadia. It's like, not that I wanted to be the best mom I could. That was something like independent of society's expectations, we can unpack society's expectations for parents. Like that's a thing for sure. So re-examining that is for real. But no, I wanted to be the best mom. I wanted to be a great leader. I thought like it was so hard because I felt like I thought I was living the path I had designed for myself. But I don't think I realized how much influence of the expectations of how that was done had clouded. And so it was hard to really disentangle where somebody else's, like where my dream was versus somebody else's dream or expectations for me. And it was so entangled. It was really confusing.
Oh, Nikki, that is so real. Yeah. Because I think that's, and I sort of highlight that in the episodes too. And it's so interesting to hear that in your story as well. Like you get at a point where you're like, wait, this ain't it. Like, I'm not okay with where things are, but you're like, I was also a very sort of it's interesting because we have been go-getters, right? Like we've been in pursuit of things. We've had strategies, we sort of know what we're doing and why. So it's like, it wasn't like I was not in the driver's seat, but it's almost like, but I wonder if they're like what the metaphor is, but it's like what was influencing our decisions, what we were valuing, what we were prioritizing was actually a lot more than maybe what we realized, or, that was like not of ourselves, or we're just evolving and changing. And like, maybe, and so that is also, it's like, do I not? And that, I remember there was one of my episodes where I was like, like, I got myself here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, I don't understand. Like, I don't like it, but I remember the steps I took to even make the decision to take this job at this time. And that's what, but it's also, I really think it's interesting because like there's a certain degree of, I don't know, maybe self-abandonment that was happening all along, but we didn't see it as such or know it as such,
Yeah.
because it's also, I mean, so much of, we sort of like turn externally for the markers and indication of what we should pursue, again, in order to be, say, successful, approved of, all the things that'll ensure that that make sense, that we're like, we want to be successful and thrive. And so what do I need to do? But and it's not like it's all bad, because it did lead us to pursue degrees and professional opportunities that actually now set us up for a lot of freedom and choice.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's what it's like, it sort of serves you till it doesn't. And it's like, at some point you're like, this ain't serving me no more. So what do I do? And what do I want? Because the old way of making decisions and deciding how to navigate this road, it's like all changing. It's like the terrain's changing. I don't know. The map is changing.
Exactly. The operating system, we're updating that. Yeah, no, I've thought about that too, Natalie. This aspect, the path that I was on gave me the freedom to have these choice points. Now, if I had made different choices that were more aligned with me, would I have gotten here? I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about the self-abandonment piece, like it being in small choices too, I've thought about that. Like the self-abandonment also tipas away from self, but like now with the awareness, like you can take the tipas back to self. But they happen so quickly. Yeah.
It is true. And I think, when I was reflecting too, I'm like, it was like a lot of unconscious tipas, like that, again, wasn't like I'm abandoning myself,
right?
But it was like how we made decisions. And it was like how we came to know, to discern what was right for us. There was a lot of influence in terms of like what the strategies to be successful in the society we thought, what the strategies to get there like looked like. I don't know. Then there comes a point where you start to reclaim your power and your agency, and you're like, oh no. And then you start to take tipas with a new sort of, at least directional, like sense of direction of what's important to you. Because I heard you said you left the job and you gave yourself some space.
Yes.
What were some of, like, I mean, because that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago now? Okay. In retrospect, like what were some of the micro moments or choices or small little things that started to help you on this journey of returning back to yourself and rediscovering who Nikki is?
Yeah, let me think if I can. I remember like giving myself permission to do what felt good to me. That used to feel indulgent. Like, who has time to go to yoga? Who has time to go to dance salsa? Who has time to do, like I felt like I was just, being indulgent when there were so many competing priorities, but I gave myself permission to just follow the sparks and follow the joy and to give myself the space to do that. So that's one thing, like where I just started to explore. And we did the artist way of it earlier this year, and they have this concept of the artist date.
You got much further along than I did. That was like my third failed attempt to try and make my way through that book.
Yeah.
But yes, the artist date. Tell us about
the artist date, right? And I didn't have language there, but the artist date, the whole idea is like, and it's for creatives, and I never identified as a creative, but I think it really is applicable to this reigniting this spark and this joy, is once a week, find something that brings you, like, sparks your creativity, brings you some joy, is exciting to you, that might have felt frivolous or indulgent or like nobody has time for that, but just like do that every week as a way to tap into what fuels you and what lights you up. And in the beginning, one might know, you might not be like, I don't know what that is, but like just give yourself the freedom to be like, oh, I want to go walk. And like the things that I would do, and this was not back then, this is now in the artist state phase, but like I was in New York and I was walking around Soho and I just was walking and like went into a store and I looked at it and was having fun. And she's like, you should just try on some clothes. And I was like, I could never buy / afford any of this. But I was like, you know what? I'm in my artist date. I'm just going to indulge and do something like that. And this gives you just something that lights, just gives a little levity to you. And so I started to do more of that. So that was one thing that I guess I didn't know I was doing that was helping me to reconnect with what felt good to me. And those practices did happen to be, now that I have some awareness of what, yoga has movement, it has breath, it has meditation embedded in that. And so those were, I think, really helpful grounding practices. Now knowing, like thinking about managing the stress cycle, those are real science-backed things that can help alleviate stress and move through things. The salsa for me was creativity. It was something that just allowed me to show up. And God, I still feel this, but like not being good at it, not feeling perfect, not feeling, let me push that aside and be like, you know what? People out here just living their best life, dancing their little hearts out, having fun. Who cares if I don't have all the moves? Just feel the music, feel the vibe, like feel the dance with the partner and just go on that journey. So I started to let go of a lot of my perfectionist, like achiever tendencies when I went into starting to dance salsa, but the music just spoke to my soul. So I started doing that. And then I'm trying to think professionally, when I was thinking about steps back to myself, like choosing work that felt like I was closer to my zone of genius, which was really hard in the beginning as a solo practitioner who was building a practice. There was definitely an element I was like, I need some work. So, but I started to be able to discern like what type of work actually came natural to me. And sometimes we don't even realize we have these, I can't even think of the word. It's like something competence, like unknown competence, because it comes so naturally to you. So I started to say, all right, project management, not my jam. Like I don't have a brain that really is structured like that. And I can do it. I've learned enough to fake it to a certain extent, but it's so draining to me that I'm actually going to try not to do that type of work anymore and do work that's like relational, partnership based. Like I had not found coaching yet, but starting to listen to what I actually like to do professionally and try to get more of that in my work. So that was a conscious choice. Yeah. And other things back to myself. And then sometimes it was just like, I don't want to go to this event. And just like, oh, I just don't want to go and not go. And I be like, but then I RSVP'd and I'm going to be a flake or, all the things. And so just starting to give myself permission to just do what feels good versus like what I should out of obligation.
So good, Nikki. Hope you didn't feel too put on the spot there.
It's all good.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is the space where you like to just hold the space for the reflection and the introspection. Yeah. So, I mean, I loved hearing all of that because, like, the through line what I'm hearing is, I mean, this reconnection, frankly, like. I love to talk about like your whole body intelligence, right? But like your whole body is the instrument that helps to guide you towards that which is right for you. And if we spend so much of our time like disconnected, right? Self-sacrificing, like, not sleeping enough, not moving, not eating well, not all of that, and just being in a chronic stress response and just like go, go, go. Yeah. Of course, it becomes wires get crossed and it's hard to actually know. You were the Nikki that was like, I don't even know what I like to do. Like I do what I was supposed to do, what's the strategic or smart thing to do. And I can totally relate to all this. And then this return to self started with actually starting to pay attention to like, I mean, we have the sensory information that comes from every part of our body. And this idea, I totally had the same thing around like this notion of following what feels good. Like, I know it sounds so simple, but for an entire season, my mantra was, it's good to feel good.
Yeah.
Like it's good to feel good because I didn't realize how much I had normalized not feeling good.
Yeah.
And so like just that simple and like paying attention to what feels good. So I just love like the artist state is a beautiful way to do that. And then that's also how you find your way back to yourself because you're like, it felt good when I tried on the clothes that were brightly colored and
Yeah.
a little, whatever. Or it felt good when I just strolled through the bookstore and randomly picked up what I felt called to. I feel like I've gotten voice notes of your artist state over the year.
Yes.
Like you have been doing it. It felt good to randomly get to go out to lunch at that restaurant I've been eyeing solo midday,
Yeah.
and so that like both personally but also professionally. I mean, that's how I also found my way towards coaching. I had so much judgment or just like in even doing my own business. I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, I'm going to just find another job that
Yeah.
is more values aligned and works better, just works better for my life. And then, then opportunities started coming my way and I started paying attention in my calls. Oh my God, with people, like supporting them in the heart-led strategic approach to spirit infused approach to strategy and approaching their life and reclaiming, like returning to self. I was like, oh my God, I'm like tingling all over. This feels so great. And then I
Yeah.
tried to go back to the jobs that I thought I was supposed to do that seemed like the smarter, more strategic move. And it felt cold, didn't feel alive.
Mm.
So it was like hot, cold. And the more time, I really believe like the more we spend our time in those places that feel warm, warmer, hot, alive, the contrast becomes sharper,
Oh, yeah.
so the like forcing yourself to go to the thing that you don't want to go to, you're like, oh, I'm so good at following what feels good. And I'm forcing myself to do something out of obligation. That is not a whole body. Yes, that feels, that feels bad in my body.
Yeah.
And then then it just, the body becomes this instrument, your whole body intelligence in helping you to discern the way forward. And there's no hack for it other than to do it. Like you just
Yeah,
have
I'm
to
so
start doing
curious.
it.
Like, what do you do? What does your day look like to tap into that whole body? Well,
Yeah.
intelligence.
I mean, it's honestly like I've had my door for a long time, and this is how I think about you've talked about these pieces, but the way I think about like applying the Tipa philosophy, it requires you to slow down. So I got to catch myself when I'm in a rush, when I am like not breathing, when I'm succumbing to this false sense of urgency, right? So first creating the space to like get present, right? Like where my mind, oftentimes our head is, our bodies and minds are not in sync. And so we're literally disconnected. So getting present, slowing down, and then the process of tuning in. And that's where it's like, there's so many practices that I've come to love, but that allow me to get back into my body. So whether it's breath work, whether it's like some sensory based activities, sometimes dancing. Oh my gosh. And I've realized as I've gotten more connected to myself, I love to sing. Like I've reconnected with Thespian Natalie. So I'm like, I'm like, and then I feel like I do like interpretive dance. And like, I'm weird. I have embraced the weird. I don't think it's weird. It's just me. So,
Yeah.
but things that I thought were weird. Nate walks in nature, but all of that helps me feel like, oof. And that allows me to sort of tune in. And then I'm in a space, then I say slow down, tune in, trust, and Tipa. Those are the 4 parts that I think about. So trust is a really
Mm.
important part because once you are then sort of grounded, regulated, then it's like, then all of my intelligence is like my mind is calm, but it's open to more possibility. So like this week when I was deciding about the podcast, I was feeling stressed about it and I had to do that and slow down. And then I'm like, okay, now that I'm calm, grounded, and regulated, what is possible? Like, where am I
Mm.
imposing rules and boundaries and limits? Like, I fundamentally believe that when we slow down and tune in, like we can awaken to the millions of choice points that we have, like energetically, how we want to meet something, agreement, like what we agree to with others, what we agree to with ourselves, actions that we can take to support us. And so it's like, then I can trust when I'm in that grounded place that like I'm wisdom. I can trust like I can trust that I am
Mm.
coming to getting clarity from a place that I want to be getting it from. And then you take that tipa. And so it's like all day long and like the smallest of steps. So I think for
Mhm.
me this past week, I decided, I was like, what if I just don't release any more episodes for now? I was like, what if I take a break? What if it's like an intermission, like when I was in theater. And then my teapot was to try it on. So like for the next hour, I just tried it on. All right, like imagine as though it was true, taking an intermission. And then I noticed how I felt. And I felt lighter. There was more pep in my step. I felt
Yeah.
expansion in my chest. And so that is like my body and my whole body intelligence has become the greatest instrument for guiding me. But you got to slow down. Like you got to disrupt the pattern of urgency and like not getting still. And you talked about this in your newsletter. So like you're spot on. And I think one more thing too, I think the trust piece in the 4-part process, it is
Mhm.
trust of self, but there's also a piece of trusting, like there's other things that we place trust in, right? And I was raised in Christianity, and like so like the sort of my belief that I am like, I believe in God. I believe that I'm held. I believe that I am guided. I truly believe that. And so it's also relaxing into that, right? Or even trusting in that, like our support systems, trusting in our community, like who and what else do you place trust in? Because yes,
Yeah.
self-trust is if we don't have self-trust and only trust in others, we're setting ourselves up for like we're missing
Mhm.
we're not yet sort of rooted in the power of being fully returned like to self.
Mhm.
And it's not like it all happens alone, right? I feel
Yeah.
like, and I know that you said, actually, you've mentioned that on this journey that you have almost, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you have been feeling like a reemergence of your connection to like spirit or spirituality as part of this.
Yeah.
And so so I guess tying this all back into like the self-trust, I'm wondering how you see that piece playing into trust.
Ooh, yeah. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your
Yeah.
truthful wisdom. And I always like hearing the steps that you take. And I think that self-trust for the trust. And for me, it's been the word surrender was deposited
Mm.
through a friend in the midst of like the beginning stages of the separation. Surrender. And I used to think surrender was this word that was like giving up, quitting, failing, like, negative connotations. But then this notion of surrender it felt so empowering. Of it was a sense of agency. Like I have the power to choose, but I have to trust that there's something greater unfolding that I couldn't even imagine. That there's something moving, and that's I think the more connection to spirit and something greater than myself out there, and to let go and know that I don't have all the answers. I can let go of control and how I think things should be led. Doesn't mean that I'm giving up my choice points and my agency, but there is something on the other side that is
Mm.
holding me and holding the path in ways that I could have never imagined. And I've started to see that. And I think my awareness of that and attunement to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of mind blowing sometimes when I sit and think in the power of like how things connect and
Mm.
yes, just beyond what my human brain can conceptualize.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting the truth chills. Like I feel
Ugh.
it when you say that. And it's interesting because you're right. Surrender can have a connotation almost of like giving your power away. But it's like, I know I feel very empowered when I'm like, I am choosing to trust that, right? If and when the scary thing happens, I will show up and all the forces that love and provide for me will conspire to support me as well. And that
Yes.
I choose to trust that my like earthly support system will be here and the spiritual realm. Like that actually feels
Yeah.
very empowering, like that I choose
Yeah.
to trust in that so that I'm not
Mm.
stifled by the fear. Um,
Yeah, I really like what
that
you were saying about the trust, like the trust itself, the trust in the earthly support systems and resources available, and the trust in something greater than ourselves is like this trifecta of these pillars of
Mm.
trust. And I just really like that framing. So thanks for offering that. Yeah.
You're welcome. I don't think I've like given voice to it in that way,
Yeah, no, but
but
it's
it's
so real.
because I don't want to feel like so much of this idea, like coming home to self and self-trust. I guess it's not to say that I believe that we do everything on our own. I actually believe that we are all part of this one greater spiritual body, frankly, like, and we're all connected, right? And that once we return to self, we're actually able to tap into that which is like our creator has ordained us with, right? Like that which we are, imbued with by our creator. And so it's like it's not meant to be a self-centered, selfish thing. It's actually through reconnecting to self, we're able to connect with everything.
Wow. Yeah. Bars.
So time check here. I know that and I just wanted to make sure you're okay and want to honor our time and maybe start to bring us to a bit of a close. Thank you so
I've
much,
got one
Nikki.
thing though, Natalie, I want to
Yeah.
say publicly, because you were just talking about your experience of your intermission. Natalie, I just listened to that podcast this morning of your pause and you just modeling Tipa in real time. You modeling, and I'm privileged to kind of witness this journey behind the scenes, and for you to say, I did something, my greatest failure or greatest fear sort of coming to fruition, and it's okay. And it's fine. And I'm going to choose what feels good in my body. Like you just displayed exactly the wisdom that you are trying to live. And sometimes it's hard to like know something, but then to put it in practice, we get called in these moments where we're tested. And we can sometimes easily revert back to our old ways of being and our operating systems and feel like it has to be on this time is like since for all the things. But you hit pause in a way that is honoring self and honoring your timeline and honoring your creative process. And to do that and to model that and allow us to see and be witness to it is just incredible. So I just want to thank you. Like that one hit, and I'm like, she is living it. And thank you for allowing us to see you in your journey.
Aw, thank you, Nikki.
Of course.
I feel like this was like the building of self-trust in practice, right? Like when I dropped it, I had to trust that, I would continue to show up in every moment and for whatever may come, but I was still scared. And then things didn't go as I had planned. And and like, I think I said this, but this felt like just a moment where I feel it's just like another data point. I think you talked about this in one of your newsletters. It's just another data point of like, oh, I can trust in all that is within and without, right? Like that we can handle it. Yeah. We can handle it. If we are in the practice of moving from this well-resourced place of self-honoring, right? Like not trying to force and contort ourselves into something that doesn't feel right or true.
Yeah.
And that's the work. Moment by moment,
right? The journey, like you can be on, just the amount of times like I catch myself in it. But I catch myself and it's faster though. I don't stay in it as long. And that's where I'm like, okay, it's a journey. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be arrived, but just like over time it gets a little bit, I don't say easier even, but just like the cycle is a little shorter for me.
Yeah. And it's something someone once introduced to me, this idea. Oh my God, it was this lovely TED talk. I got to find it. But the idea that some things are just lifespan work. And like, I feel like for me, it just, when I unshame it, I'm like, like, okay, like self-trust and self-love. Like this is like, what if this were lifespan work for me? So it's not a question of if it comes back up for me, it's just when. And then what does it look like to be in that practice of meeting it yet again? And that progress and celebration can be that, oh, I don't stay in that place of self-doubt or spiraling or self-abandonment as long as I used to.
Yep.
And that's progress. So it's like, I'm not surprised when these things come back again. It's not like it's check and done,
Right.
It's just part of my lifespan work. Yeah.
Yes. I love that lifespan.
But thank you, Nikki, for seeing me in that and like acknowledging, that it's not easy, right? But I'm committed to it. I'm passionate about this because what we get to, the reward that we get to reap from it all is just such feeling good and
Yeah.
aliveness. Like that self-honoring is just such a beautiful place to be. So actually, as we're wrapping up, Nikki, I'm wondering, if you were to have a message that you wanted to share with like younger Nikki 5 years ago, because I imagine there's somebody right now who is in a similar place that you described, like what would you want to tell her? Or what would you most want to communicate to her?
Yeah. Okay, what just got deposited was, it may not look like what you imagined, but it's gonna be just fine and even better. Yeah, like there's no way I could have imagined what my life looks like now. And I think there's a lot of like worry and angst that my younger version of me held, and just trying to figure it out and like do all the things right to get to where I thought I wanted to be, and just like to let go. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
And start taking those tipas, those
Tipas.
small steps.
Yes.
Which you have. Well, I am just celebrating where all of those courageous small steps have taken you, Nikki. I've been able to bear witness to your ongoing journey, and I truly rejoice. I'm gonna admit in who I see you becoming, what I see you claiming, and then I feel so lucky to be able to have you as part of that, like earthly support, that I can, that I know that I can lean on and trust in. So thank you. Oh, and I also, and when you were talking, Nikki, you were talking about all the things that the back-to-back of work and your marriage. And I just was like, I see you, Nikki, and this mountain rising. Like truly, I have seen the ways that you are taking all of that and you are fortifying yourself, and you're rising higher. You're becoming this beautiful, like inch by inch, tipa, this like mountain of this powerful force and loving human who is on her reimagined path and navigating it so beautifully.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so blessed to be able to do this alongside of incredible people like you. And yes, the trust in the people in my support. So thank you for having me. I'm glad we got to have this conversation, and excited for more and all that you're doing, building.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. And so for those that are here, just want to invite you to check out the first half of the season of the podcast, wherever you are on the journey. It is absolutely perfect. The episodes are meant for you to sit with them and marinate on them as long as you feel called to. If you would like to access the reflection guides at the bottom of every episode in the show notes, there's a link to sign up to join our email list and receive the reflection guides as a welcome gift. And even while I'm not dropping new episodes, I'll be having these Tipa Talks because they just are, because it feels good. Following what feels good, it feels good. And when it feels good, it means we're on to something. So I'm going to keep honoring that and commit to creating the rest of the second half of the season with joy and ease. And please let us know what you thought about this discussion. And Nikki, is there anywhere that you would want people to find you?
Yes, LinkedIn, Nikki J-E Turner. And then on there is a link to my newsletter, The Reimagined Path.
It's a good one.
So yeah, I drop when it feels good. It is not on a schedule.
Exactly. That's how we roll around here.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried the consistency. I did it for a month, and then I was like, okay, got to roll with life. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
That part.
Well, thank you all who joined us today. Nikki, thank you for your time. Mwah, mwah. Thank you for celebrating the 1 month.
Yes, 1 month.
The podcast.
Let's go.
Yes. I'm so excited for what's ahead. All right. Oh, thank
Alrighty.
you for your comment. I see we had a Shireen here. Thank you for the real talk. Thank you
Oh,
for joining us. All
oh,
right.
thanks.
Bye, everyone.